because
like a loaded weapon that way.
it is.
Yeah.
And for some people, it might evoke, interconnectedness, progress, all that. But for a lot of people, and especially in the context of this dialogue, it carries this
weight.
Yeah.
This baggage.
This baggage of shadowy elites,
absolutely.
decisions being made.
And some smoky Rome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Alexander, in a way, he becomes this stand-in for that unease.
It's like he's a lightning rod for all that anxiety.
Exactly.
So we've got the stage set.
Dude.
And then Alexander, he's looking out at the world and he says,
Things are shifting. People are waking up. They're not just buying whatever they're being told anymore.
right. And there's this, it's almost like
A fear.
more than a hint of it, I'd say.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. Someone like Alexander, at least how he's presented here,
Right.
he thrives on predictability, systems,
Yeah.
order.
That's his world.
Exactly. So this rise of, independent thought,
Right.
decentralized information, that's chaos to him.
Oh, absolutely.
And chaos, that's pretty hard to control.
And isn't that what Elena's getting at?
I think so.
Because she just comes back with, the truth has a way of coming out.
Powerful line.
But it's almost like a throwaway line. Like, it's just obvious.
Right. But the delivery, is she stating the obvious or is there something more there?
Is it a warning?
Maybe.
Hey.
It's both, I think.
Yeah.
On the surface, it's this age-old saying.
Right.
Almost naive in its simplicity.
Right.
But in today's world,
Come on.
where information spreads like wildfire,
Oh, yeah.
it takes on a whole new meaning.
Because you can't control it.
Exactly. The internet age, social media, citizen journalism, the gatekeepers are losing their grip. And for someone used to calling the shots, that's got to be terrifying.
You're right. It completely changes how those words land.
Completely.
And speaking of impactful words, Alexander's next line,
Yeah.
it gave me chills.
That's a good one.
He says, what we created is a prison.
Ooh.
Right. I mean, talk about chilling.
Thank you stuff.
He's supposed to be the one in control, and even he feels trapped.
It's like he built the cage and now he's stuck inside.
Exactly. And the way he uses we,
Ooh, good catch.
it's like he's already trying to share the blame.
Right. It's not just me, it's us.
Exactly.
Fascinating, isn't it?
It is, but that image of the prison, it sticks with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Suddenly that sunlit room, not so peaceful anymore.
And that prison image, it really lingers.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Like, you can just feel the walls closing in. But Elena, she doesn't miss a beat.
He does.
She says true prosperity doesn't come from control, but from freedom and collaboration.
Wow.
It's like she's holding up a mirror.
It's a complete rejection of everything he's presented.
Isn't it?
It's like she's speaking a different language.
Yeah. And he almost seems speechless for a second.
He does.
Because she's not attacking him.
No.
She's offering something else.
It's this whole other way of seeing things. And I think for someone like Alexander, it's completely foreign. Because control, at least how we typically think about it,
Right.
it implies this top-down structure. Like a pyramid,
With him at the top.
maybe,
Yeah.
right? It assumes someone, somewhere, knows what's best for everyone.
And that's the problem, isn't it?
Well, it's certainly part of it,
Mm-hmm.
because then Elena throws in this word collaboration.
Right.
And that changes everything. Because to collaborate, you need trust. You
Yeah.
need people to be able to make their own decisions. It's messy. It's unpredictable.
And that's terrifying for someone like Alexander,
Yeah.
because it means he's not in control.
Not in the way he's used to, at least. It's like that saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. So if one little part of this system starts to think for itself.
The whole thing could unravel.
Exactly.
So is that what we're seeing with Alexander here?
You think it's just fear?
Well, he's clearly afraid of something.
He is, but I think it's more than that. There's this, I don't know, almost like a bewilderment.
Like he can't understand why anyone would choose this.
Exactly. Because in his mind, in his worldview, freedom is
Scary.
uncertain. It's dangerous.
Yeah, well, control equals safety.
Just surety.
Order.
Right.
And now Elena's basically pulling the rug out from under all of that.
And I think that's what makes this next line so powerful.
Yeah.
When he admits that fear, it was the tool,
I know.
the glue holding it all together.
Yeah.
It's chilling, isn't it?
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is, but it's also not that surprising, is it?
Julie? Sadly, no.
I mean, it's the oldest trick in the book, isn't it? Keep them scared. Keep them in line.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. We see it time and time again throughout history.
Propaganda, censorship.
Create an enemy.
Oh, absolutely. Make people afraid of something, anything.
And then present yourself as the solution.
It's classic textbook.
And it's clearly worked for Alexander until now.
Right, but like we were saying, control is this. Well,
It's a house of cards.
exactly. It's fragile. And in this age where information wants to be free,
You can't just control the narrative anymore.
nope, people are starting to see through the cracks.
And that's what makes Elena so interesting, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because she's not just talking about freedom, she's talking about...
The light.
Right.
Oh,
And it's not just some naive pie-in-the-sky hope.
no, there's steel there.
There is.
This deep, unwavering belief that eventually the truth wins out.
It's like she's saying, you can try to control things, but you can't control everything.
And that's got to be terrifying for someone like Alexander, who's built his entire life on control. It's like she's speaking a language he doesn't even understand.
And yet, there's this, well, I don't know, maybe a part of him that's starting to get it.
Well, he's certainly starting to see the cracks in his own facade.
He is. And that brings us to his next line, where he talks about the resistance.
Ooh, yeah.
Almost like he's spitting out the words.
Yes, it's a dirty word.
Exactly. And that tells us so much about his mindset, doesn't it? Because this resistance, this growing unity he sees forming outside his walls, it represents everything he's afraid of.
Chaos, uncertainty.
The unknown. And he doesn't know how to control it.
So what do you think's going through his mind at this point?
Well, his next line, it's telling, isn't it? He calls it impressive.
Does he?
He does. And not in a condescending way either.
Interesting.
It's like he's actually genuinely impressed by what he's seeing.
So maybe there's hope for him yet.
Maybe. But whether he likes it or not, things are changing.
The prison walls are starting to crumble.
And the question is, will he crumble with them? Or will he find a way to adapt?
It's like he's having a crisis of faith,
Yeah.
but not in like a religious sense, more like in the systems he's built his whole life on.
His whole worldview is being challenged.
Exactly. And Elena,
Yeah.
she's not rubbing it in or anything.
No gloating.
She just keeps coming back to this.
This unwavering belief, this faith in humanity.
Yeah, and that's got to be infuriating for someone like Alexander.
Oh, absolutely.
Because how do you argue with that?
You can't fight faith with logic.
Exactly. And maybe that's why he finally breaks down and says, I realize we underestimated the strength of good. Humanity yearns for authenticity and connection, not control.
Big moment.
Huge. But the question is,
Is it real?
yeah, can someone like that really change?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It's easy to be cynical.
Oh, especially when you're talking about power.
Because how many times have we seen this?
Right, someone in power has this sudden change of heart.
And it turns out it was all for show.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm skeptical.
Healthy skepticism is a good thing.
But what if it is real?
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
What if Alexander really is starting to see the light?
Then it means those things Elena's been talking about.
Truth, connection, all that.
They're not just some nice ideas.
They have real power.
The power to change people. Even people in power.
Because for Alexander to admit he's wrong,
To admit he underestimated the power of good.
that takes guts. It takes vulnerability.
And that's what's so interesting about this whole dialogue, isn't it?
Totally. Because it's like Alexander, he's finally letting his guard down.
He's opening himself up to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, there's a better way.
And that brings us back to Elena's point about community.
Yes.
Because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Connection, belonging, shared purpose.
Exactly. And that scares the hell out of someone like Alexander.
Because it means giving up control.
Right. But it's also, well, maybe it's the only way forward.
Maybe that's the lesson here.
Because if we've learned anything from this dialogue, it's that control is an illusion.
It's a house of cards.
Exactly. And eventually, it all comes crashing down.
So maybe the answer is to stop trying to control everything.
And start building something together instead.
Now you're talking.
And that's what makes that last line so powerful.
When Alexander says, together we can inspire others to join us. The darkness may be powerful, but the light always prevails.
Yeah, it's almost cheesy, but
But you believe him.
I kind of do.
Me too.
Maybe that's the hope talking.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just the realization that even in the darkest of times, there's always a flicker of light.
And that maybe, just maybe, that flicker is all we need.
Well said.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does. A huge thank you to you, as always, for lending your brilliant insights to this.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to you, our listeners, for joining us on this journey into the heart of, well,
Human nature.
yeah, let's go with that.
Sounds good to me.
As always, stay curious, stay connected, and keep those conversations flowing. We'll see you next time.